Just good afternoon. I'd have to check the time then. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Daniel Cairns, and I'm the Head of Enrolments here at Fourth Rev, presenting you a very exciting webinar today in our collaboration with King's College London. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we move on. This is about you, so you've made a commitment for your time, and we've got an amazing host of panelists that have committed their time to supporting you in finding out more about advancing or changing careers into product management. So make the most of it and engage as much as you can via asking questions. And when you do, we'll get to them at the end. But when you do, please use the Q&A function, not the chat. We'll be dropping some assets in the chat function, but feel free to introduce yourself via the chat function if you can. So questions in the Q&A, upvote the other ones you'd like, and we'll get to them toward the end. Lots to get through, obviously, as well. And what we'll be covering today is several key topics. First, the current landscape of product management and emerging trends, which is most important. What skills employers are looking for in product managers. How to balance technical skills with soft skills that employers are seeking as well. And practical strategies for standing out in your product management career, including how the King's Product Management Career Accelerator can help you achieve your goals as well. This is the second in a series of two that we've had on this topic. So we will certainly, if you haven't had a chance to view the first one, which we received amazing feedback from, we'll certainly make that available as well. But without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to welcome an amazing panel for your hearing and viewing pleasure today. If the panel could turn their cameras on, I'd ask that we introduce ourselves or introduce ourselves. I might start on my top right if I can and ask Flo. Welcome, Flo, and thank you for your time. For the audience benefit, a quick word or two about yourself.
Hi, Daniel, and hey everyone else. I'm Flo. I'm a product manager since around a decade here in London, working in technology now almost 20 years, and been mostly working on fintech and energy products for B2B space for large companies like Bloomberg and also many small startups. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much for your time, and we can't wait to hear your insights given your experience. Yasmin, welcome.
Hi everyone, great to be here. My name's Yasmin. I am a principal product manager for a company called Vue. We work with JC.co and build all the basically back-end systems for the advertising that you see all across London and wherever you are in the world, actually. I have been a product manager for about 6-7 years now, transitioned from being an operations manager previously. So can probably talk to how you can make the career shift. And excited to talk to everyone today. My specific niche is in B2B marketplaces, and look forward to being here and chatting with you all. Thanks.
Thank you ever so kindly. We're looking forward to hearing your insights and, as you said, about making the transition, especially as many are looking to do. Timothy, welcome. Thank you. Just on mute.
Hey, everybody. Sorry about the muting. Yes, my name's Tim. I'm from the US originally. I've been a product manager for about 10 years, half of which are in the San Francisco Bay Area and half of which are here in Gray, Berlin. I currently work at a company that helps medical device manufacturers make sure that their products are the safest as they can be. I've also made a switch from a less technical industry. I was working in environmental NGOs before, so happy to help with anyone who's thinking about such a non-technical to a slightly more technical switch. Back to you, DC.
Fantastic. Thank you ever so kindly. And Alex, welcome again.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. And hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. I'm one of your masterclass instructors for the Product Accelerator, Career Product Accelerator program. But when I'm not doing that, I am working in a straddle between product management and helping clients with my AI-focused agency deliver and implement AI solutions. I've been working in the product space at startups all the way to large businesses since 2018. And I'm really excited to be kind of talking on some of the things we're going to be covering tonight. So looking forward to getting into it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Alex. Looking forward to it also, as always. We're going to kick off with a poll so we can understand a little bit more about the audience and potentially tailor some of what we'll cover. But But your standout, what brings you here today, I guess, is the key question we'd love to know. Are you feeling stuck in your current role? You wanted to advance your existing career in product, looking to pivot into a new field, or seeking specific product skills? We'll come back to that in a moment. So we've got a lot to get through as well, and no doubt we're going to have many questions from the audience as well. So I'm going to try and be succinct. Forgive me if I speak a little quickly, but always conscious of and appreciate people's time. Just for the audience benefit, if there's an overflow of some questions relating to the program, I'll certainly stick around a little longer. But let's start by looking at the current landscape of product management. The demand for skilled product managers has been skyrocketing in recent years. In the UK alone, we saw a 140% increase in demand for product managers just a few years ago in 2022. However, I guess when we think about that, demand may be high, but finding the right skills has been challenging. A significant 81% of hiring managers report difficulty finding product managers with a strong mix of technical, example, data analytics and AI, and soft skills, leadership and adaptability and stakeholder management and the like. This skill combination is increasingly critical as product management roles become more strategic and multifaceted. Product management is also evolving and the demand for AI proficiency is growing. AI adoption in organisations has jumped from 72% this year after hovering around 50% for the last couple. And the product function is one of the most common Gen AI use cases. This landscape presents incredible career opportunities as well as insights into what recruiters and businesses are looking for. It also reveals where you need to be focusing your skill development to plug any skill gaps and stand out in the job market, which is always a very good thing. So on to the next slide if we can. With the age of AI here, the role itself is evolving rapidly. We're seeing a shift from purely technical product management to more strategic specialised positions. Companies are now looking for product managers who can drive data-informed decision-making, integrate cutting-edge technologies like AI into products and processes, and I'm sure we've got many that are doing that on the panel, ensure products are accessible and equitable for diverse users and align with data privacy regulations and algorithmic fairness, which is a key skill and when you think about it, it's still a relatively new skill. Have specialist skills for unique and complex products. It's probably worth mentioning here, we do have a postgraduate certificate component to the Career Accelerator now with King's that enables learners to hone in on a specific aspect of a product within their workplace, and I'll touch a little bit more on that certainly later. We also need to drive customer-centric product development and focus on agile methodologies for quick adjustments and market demands. Lastly, lead cross-functional teams effectively. I think that's critical, obviously, in the role. With these new and future responsibilities in mind, let's hear from our panelists. The first question I'll pose to the panel is, what changes have you observed in the skills and qualifications you're looking for in product managers over the last few years? And anyone can answer, but I might start, if I can, with Flo or Flo, if you've got something to contribute there.
Yes, that's a really interesting question. And I think the reason it's interesting because there's a huge technical skill demand, obviously, at the moment when it comes to implementation AI solutions. But I think the bigger problem really, and in regards to the question, the shift in balance to the soft skills is also the actual change management that's required within an organization for organizations to understand what is possible and to take away fears of potential failure, but also managing the expectations, because a lot of times AI is seen as the oracle that can do absolutely everything, and there is sometimes very little understanding. And how does that actually help us to make revenue with what we're implementing? And how do we go about making this best, smallest step forward? So these things in regards to soft skills, managing expectations and managing stakeholders within an organization, I think are increasingly important.
Absolutely. The commercial acumen that comes with the delivery of that you touched on is a critical skill that employers are obviously seeking. I'll open it up for others if you want to answer, Timothy, Yasmin.
I'm happy to share something. I have a slightly different take maybe on an answer to this question. I've seen that in the past few years, the trend maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago was that companies were willing to accept and give an offer to someone who met, I'd say, 60 to 70% of the criteria of what they were looking for. And that can usually be a balance between either having PM skills, all the hard skills, some of the soft skills, and maybe some of the industry background. And I've seen that percentage of skills required before they make an offer jump, quite honestly, all the way up to like 90%. So they're looking for candidates that can tick pretty much 90% of the boxes that they put in that initial job description, right? And that often can make it harder. It makes it more competitive as well. It means that us as PMs need to make sure that we are ticking those boxes, both on a hard skills, soft skills, industry experience as well, and domain experience. So as we've sort of said here, whether that's in AI, APIs, or maybe something entirely different, right? You don't necessarily have to have those things just to be a PM. It does mean that you really do need to nail quite a lot of skills, firstly, but also be able to demonstrate them in the interviewing process as well.
That's a really good point. And that's where, and I'll touch on again this later with the career coaching aspect of the Career Accelerator, highlighting one's transferable skills from many varied backgrounds, as you all went through yourselves, is a skill in itself as well. So I'll touch on that later. Anything else to add, or would you like me to move on?
I might just kind of pile on with what Yasmin was saying there. And I think that what I've definitely seen is there's definitely a bar that's been raised, but there's also a slight movement towards away from what traditionally was the lower level product management tasks of writing tickets and really getting down into the nuanced detail. And it's more looking at more strategic and value-driven activities. How are you tying in your commercial realities? How are you making sure the customer problems are being solved effectively? And I think that there's a bit of a trend forming up, and my prediction is over the next few years, we're going to start to see people that are migrating into the product management space from other disciplines and with deep domain knowledge and expertise, because they are able to deeply understand and relate to the customer problem set. They're able to bring in insight and knowledge that someone who traditionally only worked in product may not have been able to really uncover or discover. And I think that cross-pollination of, if you worked in hospitality in a different area, in, let's say, operations in hospitality, and you start moving into a hospitality-focused product management role, you're going to be able to bring that wealth of experience with you. And as you were just saying, Daniel, I think that cross-pollination of those skills that you already have, regardless of what they are, you're going to find that over time, that background is actually going to be a big differentiator from someone that's technically been a product manager and worked their way up through product management. They may actually be slightly disadvantaged as compared to someone who is bringing in this deep domain and breadth of knowledge base. I could be wrong, but that's definitely what I'm kind of seeing out there.
No, we see it in the program as well with 70%, up to 70% of our learners. It varies intake to intake, but up to 70% of our learners are career changers, seeking to advance their careers within the digital economy and from a whole width and breadth of backgrounds, as you said. So certainly aligns, and I guess it's a matter of articulating the value that you bring with those transferable skills as well, and certainly that's where the coaching assists. I might jump to the next slide because it's a key one as well. Artificial intelligence isn't just a feature we're adding to products, it's revolutionizing how we work as product managers as well. AI product managers, who are specialist product managers who develop AI-first products or bring AI capabilities to existing products, are in demand at companies like Google, Microsoft, Meta, Zoom, TikTok, and many, many others. PMs who use AI to leverage automation and personalization drive smarter product decisions, enhance user experience, and do market research analysis. AI tools can process large data sets, predict user trends, and automate routine tasks, freeing PMs to focus on that overview and that strategic planning. Specialist AI product managers will also need to understand the basics of AI machine learning to collaborate effectively with data teams. Additionally, familiarity with software development processes and basic coding concepts can greatly enhance your effectiveness when working with engineering teams. Tips, I guess, or a practical tip is to familiarize yourself with AI-powered tools in PM, such as a customer behavior prediction software or natural language processing or customer feedback analysis. Joining cross-functional sessions with data scientists and engineers will also enhance your collaboration skills and deepen your technical understanding. Next, the AI demand is why we've included a dedicated AI learning track to the King's Product Management Career Accelerator. This track ensures that our learners build and practice their AI skills in live expert-led masterclasses, but I'll touch more on that later. Let's look at agile product development next as a key skill set. Using agile methodology saw a 35% increase in team collaboration and a 25% reduction in time to market. With this kind of reward, it's easy to understand why agile methodologies are critical to PM success. How it works and why. Product managers are expected to prioritize customer needs, using agile development to continuously iterate based on feedback. This approach ensures the product is relevant, responsive, and adaptable to changes in their user needs or markets. Tips to integrate agile into PM: engage with cross-functional teams again regularly, and practice agile techniques like sprint reviews to integrate customer feedback quickly. Participate in intuitive designs that will strengthen your adaptability and collaboration skills. In the second course of the King's Product Management Career Accelerator, you'll study product design and development. You'll learn the principles of agile product development and practice those skills in a variety of practical projects. The third one I'd like to touch on is data. By leveraging data to understand customers, validate ideas, optimize UX, and make informed decisions, businesses can create products that resonate with their audience, leading to higher customer satisfaction and increased business success. Data is becoming central to today's PM role, providing insights into customer behavior, feature usage, and market trends. Product managers must be skilled in interpreting analytics to make informed product decisions that are evidence-based. A smart tip, start small by analysing product usage metrics within your own organisation, for example, or if you're not in product yet, it might be a local sporting team or charity or things like that that you can identify all your favourite product that you use, and you may be able to identify some data surrounding that. Practice data storytelling to present insights effectively, and use A/B testing to make data-backed decisions about product features. I'd like to open up the floor for the panel discussion now. Let's discuss these skills we've identified there. And I might ask Timothy first, and starting at the first one we discussed around AI and the skills required. You got any thoughts on that as a key component to a PM role now?
Absolutely. So I work at a company that's applying AI like through the compliance process for the development of medical devices. And I think 10 or so years ago, when I started working in product management, you had the notion of big data becoming cheap and something that's understood now. And I think like we got all the data in our apps and we developed rules that made certain behaviors become like apparent when that happened. But now we have logic that we can build and logic that we can write to help us make better decisions from all of this data that we have. So basically we had all this data before, but we didn't really know what to do with it. And now we can help derive what we're going to do with that, right? So that could be, for example, in my case, turning structured data about customer feedback on your medical devices into insights for how to make your medical devices more reliable in the field, how to develop V2, V3. Or that could be analyzing like critical clinical studies of your competitors' devices to understand what are the problems that they're having and how can you position yourself better compared to them. So I think like the AI thing, yes, can be seen as a panacea that can solve all problems. I think one of the first problems that it's helping us solve really well is how to summarize massive amounts of data and put it into a structure that we can learn from, develop insights from. And I think in light of that, one of the biggest things that we're thinking of in terms of how it shapes the product manager's role is how do we think about technical feasibility, de-risking technical feasibility as early as possible. I think technical feasibility in the pre-AI age was something that was a lot simpler, but now we're having to determine target accuracies with our customers before we even do the UI mockups or designs. And I think that's something that we should continue to think about, how we can do that more effectively, how we can balance our resources more effectively going forward as new PMs. But those are how I'm using AI so far. And I'd love to hear from some of the other panelists as well.
Likewise, that's fascinating. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, it's really interesting also to add a little bit of a different perspective. The use of AI at work can also open up some risk and some dangers that we need to be aware of, because when you look at, for example, summarizing user feedback, there is a huge risk that you lose a little bit of context in what was said and how. So to give you an example, I have been doing some research on feedback from customers for news. And there is a different way to communicate. For instance, in Japan, you avoid negative feedback and you are much more implicit in how you go about saying something that's not necessarily pleasant. And so as a German, Germans would give very direct and very honest and sometimes maybe rude feedback or apparent rude, but that's very direct. A computer or an AI can understand that. Like the sentiment analysis, someone saying I don't like it is very clear. If I ask a Japanese person and I say, what do you think about this interface? And the Japanese person responds, I really like what you have written here. So that's not actually answering the question, but it's indirectly implying that they like something else. So that means they don't like the interface. So you have to read between the lines in order to understand the response. And I think with AI tools, sometimes these very subtle feedback points can get missed quite easily.
That's a great example.
I might add to
Please.
that, because as product managers in the age of AI, we are both blessed and we're cursed. And we're blessed because we're seeing this phenomenal advancement in capability, and it's touching every part of the product development process, and it's moving what used to be big bottlenecks to no longer be constraints. And to be specific there, the rise and the availability and the capability of AI-enabled dev environments where software engineers are using AI to write the code is rapidly increasing the amount of throughput that dev teams are able to achieve, and they're able to catch things a lot faster. And we've got AI automations to identify bugs and write tickets, and just make sure that execution phase is progressively getting quicker and quicker and quicker. I'm seeing quite a few comments from software engineers considering a change into product management in the Q&A, and that's probably a really great move, because there is definitely a trend where AI is going to make that product process, the execution phase, a lot quicker. But we're cursed at the exact same time, and we're cursed because as product managers, we have to be really focused on mitigating risk, but also solving the customer problem. And there was a great example of when people who are implementing this in a product context don't look at the risk board, they don't look at the whole picture, and they don't look at what can go wrong. And this example was Air Canada. So earlier in this year, Air Canada was taken to court and forced to honor a refund policy that its AI chatbot, customer service agent, made up on the spot. That was not an official policy. It was completely made up. The AI just invented it. The customers then took the airline to court, and the airline was forced to honor that policy. This is one of the things, as product managers in the age of AI, with this incredible capability that we can bed into our products, we need to also look at what can go wrong and how can we mitigate some of those factors, and what constraints should we be putting on. Because it may be the oracle in some cases, but it's also the devil. And if you don't know how to dance with the devil, then you might be in a bit of strife. So yeah, it's definitely a very massive impact that we're having, and we're seeing the agile development cycles, sprint cycles are getting faster, and you're achieving more and you're burning down more. And as such, rates of iteration are increasing, And as product managers, we're also afforded this incredible opportunity to leverage AI to create deeply personalized experience. But it comes back to that fundamental product management kind of focus, which is making sure that you're deriving that value for the customer.
Absolutely. Great insights and a good example there. That's quite frightening. I wonder how much it cost them. I recall, and I told this only recently in a webinar also, in the infancy of AI some years ago, I recall a university in America trying to increase their enrollment conversions, and they implemented a process in their sales and marketing that identified the best and highest chance of converting learners. Sadly, on day one of the new term, there was no diversity in the auditorium for the first time in that university's history. No one had taught it to stop. So it really hyper zeroed into it, basically a postcode, and that was it, and recruited what they taught it to be a classically paid student and so forth. So there's all sorts of examples. And I guess that's the strength of the PM role, is to have that ethical understanding, that those checks in and balances in place all through the process as well. And there's a question regarding that I'll come to from the audience shortly. Any other insights, re AI, agile, or data as well, by the way?
I can share something here. I would actually probably say, out of all of us, I'm probably the product manager that uses the least amount of AI, it sounds like. I work for a company where we have quite a lot of strict policy around the use of AI that's just been introduced. So what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do. But what I can say that we do a lot of, and I would say is a recurring theme in my career, is working with big data. So predictive models based on past performance. And so for us, that's looking at, the number of different people that wanted to advertise, at what rate, at what cost per million it's called. And using that as a predictive basis for, okay, well, Christmas in Oxford Street next year, can we push that that rate up, because we know that there's going to be approximately 50 different advertisers that want so many impressions at this particular time, and they'll all be bidding at approximately this rate. So for me, that's meant that I've needed to get close to the data in every company that I've worked in. So one thing that I did when I transitioned into being a product manager was just learn SQL. That was probably the most fundamental thing I think I did in my career. And actually, I wouldn't even just suggest that for only product managers. I think in pretty much every role, it's actually helpful. So I would say, like, look, there's definitely going to be companies where they're going to have a really big importance on AI, but it is also a spectrum as well, right? So I think it's up to all product managers to be able to understand what AI is, but know that maybe not in every role that you're in, you're going to have to apply it in different use cases.
Spot on. That's really interesting. And yeah, I remember the infancy of data in many ways. And I'll, if I've got time, I'll tell the story at the end. It's quite amusing. Any other final thoughts before I move on to the soft skills, I guess, that we've got? Oh, I've got a question for the panel, actually, relating to this. There's obviously the apprehension that many feel of coming from a non-technical background, for example, into a PM role. Can that still be achieved without having deep technical understanding, in your opinions? Like, do they don't, in my opinion, need to be a software developer or things like that, but some of the transferable and industry skills are obviously more paramount. Is that still achievable for many in the audience?
I'm happy to go with this just because I'm
Yeah.
quite passionate about it.
Yeah.
I might have a somewhat traditional view of how you can segment product managers, but I fundamentally believe that they come down to commercial, technical. And so if you're going for that sort of commercial side, yeah, you don't need the technical stuff. It's helpful to know it. It's helpful to understand and know the amount that you need that is sufficient to be able to perform your job. And then slowly you can grow on the technical skills. But in order to make the transition, you can 100% have come from an operations background, customer success background, sales background, marketing background, even designers. They all have a natural tendency to at least understand the dynamics of the business. And when I say commercial, as in do you know how we sell to our customers? Do you know like our offering? Do you know, do you often find yourself looking at the P&L, or at least understanding and trying to dig into the numbers of our growth rate? Those are skills that are just as important to me, at least. But I would say it depends on the product that you're working on, right? So
Yep.
you have to know that you're not going to be able to go for those technical PM roles. You're not going to be able to go for those roles where it's a platform PM potentially as well. And so it's about trying to decide like which one you want to hone in on.
Excellent.
To add a bit of a different flavor to this, it's also as I have experienced, quite interesting to see that sometimes in B2B environments where you have very specialized requirements, let's imagine you're building a platform for LNG trading, liquefied natural gas. It's so special that you need to understand the workflow of LNG traders really inside out. And anyone who knows LNG traders or has worked in the energy industry before will have an advantage over someone who's just gotten these transferable product management skills, whether they're technical or commercial. So I think that element is also really important depending on the sector you're working in. So if you're building a dating app, it's very different product management as if you're in LNG trading.
Yeah, good point. And the type of app and size of organization also dictates the breadth of skills that one may be an employer may be seeking for a career changer as well. But someone else, Alex, you were going to contribute there as
Yeah,
well.
I was gonna add on to this, and I think one of the kind of inferred or apparent benefits of the age of AI is that technical hurdle is definitely being lowered in many respects. If you are lost from a technical perspective, whether it's writing SQL or understanding a piece of regulation, the AIs can get you 80 to 90% of the way there. And I think that there's going to be a big emphasis on the stuff that the AI can't do, that intuition, that gut feel, the human things that make us different based on shared experiences or lived experiences. But I think it's potentially also a lead into our next topic. I think there's going to be a big focus on the soft skill. And the primary function, I believe, for product managers, both technical and non-technical, technical and commercial, will be how can you rally your internal and external stakeholders around why the next thing you want to do is the right thing to do, and how can you back that up with insight and data and quantifiable evidence that it is the right decision. And make sure that you can stand there and be held accountable for that decision. And I think that those soft skills, regardless if you're coming into product manager from being a mechanical engineer, or if you're coming in from being a BA, or if you're coming in from an account executive perspective in the cybersecurity space, the ability for you to influence those closest to you is probably going to be one of the most underrated capabilities. And the AIs of the world are going to help you bridge those other gaps. But at the end of the day, the possibilities of what we can do as product in this function, they're not fundamentally going to change. We are always going to go back to that basic foundational truth, which is we are responsible for identifying value and executing on value for the customer.
Spot on. Spot on. It does, you're right. It's a great segue into balancing some technical or and what we spoke about regarding agile and data as well. If we can go to the next slide, with the soft skills. When we designed the Career Accelerator, we partnered with many leading industry PMs and experts, and this was so high on their wish list of inclusions into a PM specific program such as this. The challenge for companies is finding people that can demonstrate that they've got the blend. But let's get into the specific skills employers are also told us they're looking for, and we'll touch on this with the panel as well. Leadership, needing to be able to inspire and guide cross-functional teams without necessarily having always their direct authority. The communication we know is critical. Clear, persuasive communication is essential whenever you're explaining technical concepts to non-technical stakeholders or pitching your product vision to leaders, customers, or executives. Strategic thinking is critical. Adaptability in our fast-paced industry, the ability to pivot quickly and learn new skills is invaluable. And emotional intelligence, understanding and managing your own emotions as well as those of your team members, can make a huge difference in product success. Lastly, that stakeholder management that is critical, especially cross-function, as I mentioned. So my question to the panel, as you are all product managers and experts, have you seen the balance of technical and soft skills play out in your day-to-day work, and the requirements that employers are seeking, such as those that I just outlined? Timothy, thank you.
Yeah, totally. I think these are what's required. I just want to talk about how I see them. When I see communication on there, what I think about as a product manager is someone who needs to pattern match, identify patterns that they're seeing in the market, and identify how they can influence them, their outcomes. And how I see my role as being most valuable there is in telling specific stories, tangible stories. So there's really storytelling talent that identify greater generalizable truths. So I think when it comes to communication, I think that it has been and will continue to be one of the most important cases. And I also think about when it comes to slightly more technical points, I think around the notion of understanding how different data is interacting one another, how you can tie things together, and telling stories around that. So I often use entity relationship diagrams as just a framework of describing how different data points could be mapped into what we have. And I think using these inputs to derive your decision making and communicate trade-off analysis to your internal and external stakeholders is what I think the key component of being the best product manager you can be is. So those are my thoughts there. Anyone else?
Great points.
Yeah, absolutely, wholeheartedly agree. To look at some of the failures in my career and also some of the successes that I had, when I was made redundant in the past and when I had bad feedback for how I can improve, it was always about some of the soft skills. It was never to do with a lack of technical understanding or some of the things that you can learn by picking up a speech from Marty Kagan or something like this, and also, by the way, I wholeheartedly disagree with Marty Kagan's assessment of what should and shouldn't be the definition of a product manager, because it always depends on the context of the product, of the context of the audience and an organization. So there is no one definition of this, but the soft skills are really the most important thing. And anyone who wants to be a product manager, knowing how to say no in 1,000 different ways without actually saying no, can do very well. It is incredibly difficult when you get a lot of requests from all different directions, and then on top of that, the CEO comes and say, why is the idea that I had last week not done yet? So managing all of that really requires soft skills more than anything.
Yeah, and even understanding how different professions attract different personalities often and the way they work. Introverted technical aspects, often extroverted marketers, I'm being very generalistic, but that stakeholder management blend can be critical as well. Alex, I've got a couple of moments. And then I'm gonna move on.
I got a quote that I love bringing up when I talk about product management skill sets and why the soft skills, the skills currently on this slide around communication, emotional intelligence, leadership, are so critical. And it's the quote is, "I've learned that people will forget what you've said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you make them feel." And to be a truly effective product manager, you need to be very well aware that it is a human pursuit. It's a human profession. You are not dealing with machines. You're not a software engineer. You're not telling a computer what to do. You are engaging with people. You are helping to understand people. You're helping to communicate to people and guide them through a process. And sometimes And in my career and my experience, the hardest task that I've always come up against is about making sure that all of my stakeholders are brought along for the journey, and then finding those stakeholders that were kicking up a fuss or putting up objections, and then trying to change their mind and influence them. And I wasn't always successful. And this is one of the things as product managers, that's why we always rely on data, and we rely on insight, and we rely on quantifiable evidence, because it makes that process of influence so much more credible and so much more tangible. But at the end of the day, if you can't piece together how your tactical objectives tie into your strategic objectives, and tie that strategic thinking and bring it into your communication style, and bring that into your sense of leadership, and how you are painting that vision and painting the future steps for the journey, you're going to fail in the product management space. And really, this is the key skill set. If you can nail this, and it's a learned skill. It's not something that we're born with. These are techniques. These are skills that you hone and develop. And it is very much critical and central to success in that product management space. So that balance between technical versus soft skills, I think with the AI being exceptionally good at the technical and being able to help you with the technical, I think there's going to be, over the next few years, a big pivot and a big focus on how do you relate with humans? How do you relate to the meat bag in the equation? How do you make sure that everyone with the flesh and blood is brought along on the journey? And your deep domain expertise, your insights, the ability for you to tell stories and paint pictures, these are the things that are going to make the difference. And I think that these are the key areas that people are going to really benefit from.
Excellent, and thanks for that. And obviously, all of your responses there resonate with the title of today's webinar about being a standout product manager, because it's so complex to navigate as well. But some of the insights that you've all shared are going to go such a long way to assisting people stand out. I'm going to go to the next slide, and I'm going to move a little bit quickly because I'm conscious of time. But what we recommend, obviously, bringing some of that together is continuous learning, staying up to date with the latest trends and technologies and methodologies. Build a strong network, and we've got a little bit more to say about that as well. Develop a personal brand as well. That can be through blog posts, speaking, social media, establishing yourself as a thought leader, or even a portfolio development in the case of seeking to change as well. Seek diverse experiences, try to work on different types of products or in various industries. And it's hard to get experience without the experience, if you know what I mean. So, or hard to get experience without the job. I'm going to touch on how you may be able to do that a little in a moment as well. And embrace data and AI. It's key, as we've discussed. Proficiency in data analysis and AI is increasingly important. On to the next slide, if I could, Sam. Transitioning. For those making their transition into product, and by the poll and obviously the questions that are coming through, it's a large portion of the audience. It is important to recognise that many skills from other roles are transferable. We've touched on that so often, but project managers often excel at coordination and timeline management. Marketers bring valuable skills in user research and positioning. Obviously, engineers have that deep understanding of the development of process and the like. The key is to identify your transferable skills and articulate how they may apply to product management. Let's get some brief advice. Is there anything you'd like to add relating to, I guess, what makes a candidate stand out in your hiring process? I might just take one answer from the floor if I can, and I'll move on to the actual program. Yasmin, you look like you're nodding in relation to that one.
I mean, it's hard to say one specific thing, but either the candidate knowing exactly what their sort of unique skill is and being able to display that, or someone who has, and I, to be very honest, am yet to see that someone do this well, is just showcase their portfolio of work. We expect engineers to do it. We expect designers to do it. Why don't we expect product managers to do it? And just to be very clear, I'm so guilty of this as well. I have it in a mirror, but I have not made it public. So I would just showcase your work. When you do your course, you have a very well put together film slate, the company that you're working on, the first thing I would be doing if I was on this course, after I finished or even during, is literally putting it on a portfolio and making it public and showcasing my work, because it is absolutely as close to a true practical example that you're going to get. So to make use of it and don't let that go to waste.
Yeah, great point. And that's part of when we designed the Career Accelerator, we insisted on, not insisted, employers valued the option of having no exams, but instead practical cases in which learners can work on that contribute to portfolio development. And then obviously there's live industry project at the end that showcases. I'm going to give a tip as well. How do I get experience without the job? There's so much practical element to this program that will give you real industry experience, but I'm going to go a step further and say, find somewhere or someone or a product that you can volunteer with as well. And it might be a local charity, whether it's developing your own minimum viable product, or whether it's a charity that have a product but don't have the resources to keep it up, or whether it's a local sporting club, your kids' sporting club or whatnot, and the apps that they interact with. Volunteer somewhere like that, because it will be invaluable then to say, I actually have the experience. Sorry, someone's ringing me. I actually do have experience. Not only did I do an industry project as a part of my Career Accelerator, but I actually volunteered at the local charity or the non-government organisation and have some of this. It is invaluable from an employer perspective, and it overcomes that, that age-old question in an interview, tell me about the experience that you have. I'm very conscious of time. Just for everyone's benefit, I'm going to fly through an overview of the program now, but I will stick around if there's questions about the program. We haven't even got to the audience questions, and maybe we skip through a few of them first. So I might, Sam, if it's okay, Sam's helping me in the background. I might shuffle a little and get to the audience, some audience questions now. And with 5 minutes to go, I'll give an overview. I don't want it to be a quick one, so I will stick around for those that want to hear more about the actual program, which is part of it. Right, into some questions if I can from the audience. We've got a software engineer with 6 years of experience that want to start their career in PM. How would this program help me? I'll touch on that as well as anyone else that would like to, but I think it's the most practical product management program and industry linked. So it was designed collaboratively with industry and Kings. And as I've mentioned, it's made up of 3 courses and 1 live industry project with the likes of Sky and DocuSign and others. So your learning is applied in a real world sense with that industry project at the end, and obviously overcomes that question as well as to how much experience do you have. Getting through some other questions. Chris has asked here, thinking about the need for specialisation as one of the core skills, what scope is there for not specialising in any particular area to begin with, especially if you're transitioning from a completely different career? Can you not specialise to begin with and still get work, or do you need to try and pick something and build experience? Anyone like to answer that one for Chris? I think it's a great question.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to jump in here because this speaks to the nature of product management. It's very easy to understand how deep domain specialism skills will help in niche businesses or deep domain specialized businesses. But it's not something that you should kind of rule out, that there are businesses, there are products that require generalized skill sets, that require a view of the whole board, especially in the B2C space where you're dealing with customers from every walk of life. So I wouldn't say that just because you don't have a deep specialism doesn't mean you're not specialized. You've just specialized in a general specialism. That is in of itself a key area of expertise. So I would reframe the way you're looking at that and say the experience you've had in whatever industry you've come from before, and if it's many, many industries, will allow you to actually have a view that's unique to you, that maybe someone with deep domain knowledge doesn't have.
Exactly. And Phil's asked a very similar question there as well. So I'll tick that off, Phil, and we can elaborate further if required. There was one down here. So someone's asked here, the role of PM is someone somewhat also at risk with AI. How can we stay competitive and upskill to ensure that we keep up with the market? It's a good question, and I've got some thoughts, but I'll hand over to the panel, I guess, if you've got an answer to that one. How can PMs overcome the risk of AI to PM? I think we've touched a fair bit on it already, but has anyone got any specific answer to that question?
Yeah, so what Alex alluded to earlier, it is very much about a people management role. So it is very difficult to replace that with a robot. Because yes, some of the technical skills may be made easier and all that, but if you can translate technological speak to the CTO, if you can have the CEO patiently listen to the concerns of software engineers, yes, then you don't need a product manager. But all these things are currently not in place, and this always requires a human element to collaborate with these very diverse sets of needs in an organization, and I don't see this changing anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just going to add to that because we actually cover this in the masterclass in the Career Accelerator program. This is actually one of the key themes of one of the masterclass. It's only available to participants of the Accelerator program. And the point that we kind of cover there is that in a world where the technical pace of development is decreasing rapidly, we're actually going to see PMs become more necessary because someone's going to have to be held accountable and someone's going to have to be the person making decisions about how to orchestrate all of these AI agents and systems and tools that are off doing random crazy things. So I'm going to push back and say the PM role is not going anywhere. It's definitely going to evolve, as all things should. But I can see there's a long, long future and probably a more pronounced future for product managers going into the future.
I completely agree, and I'm going to touch on the course briefly and segue into how AI is woven into the program. As I mentioned very, very quickly and briefly before, it's a 6-month online program, part-time, designed to fit in with you more so than you fit in with university. So the majority being asynchronous in that regard. There are live synchronous sessions with the likes of Alex as well. But course 1, product management and strategy. Course 2, product design and development. Course 3, launching products to market. And then you are then teamed up with 5 or 6 other high caliber learners who will then meet with one of our industry partners. They'll present to you a real product scenario or challenge. And as a team, applying the learning from those first 3 courses, you'll come up with innovative and tangible solutions to that scenario, presenting your recommendations back to the employer in a consultancy style presentation at the end. The benefit of that is numerous in that it's a practical application of learning, firstly. Brilliant for networking with your peers very, very deeply, and also leaders of industry who are often looking to recruit talent from the program. And lastly, it is an inspiring demonstration of your value to a prospective employer, as I touched on before, when you can demonstrate how you've worked with the likes of DocuSign, Sky, and others, potentially on a real industry project, wrapping the course in its conclusion. But how is AI, if you can change the slide there, integrated? So experience a focused AI product learning track as a part of the Career Accelerator. There are the 4 expert-led masterclasses, as Alex has mentioned. There's hands-on project-based learning, real-world case studies with live Gen AI demos. You build those skills throughout and earn a digital badge to showcase that you're leading in your field if you're looking to transition into the area, into product management as well. The masterclass topics Alex has touched on: introduction to AI, learn how to use AI to improve productivity, explore when and how to integrate AI in product, and AI ethical considerations was one also that employers were insistent on inclusion, and I completely agree as well. There's some key takeaways, and I know we've only got a couple of minutes, but I'll get to that quickly as we wrap it up. And as I said, I'm happy to stick around for any and get through some more of the questions as well. And I've got a special offer also for those that are still in attendance. But as we wrap up, let's recap the key points, I guess. The product management field is growing rapidly there is big demand, but there's also skills gaps. If you can focus on the skills that employers struggle to recruit for and stand out in that job market in 2025 and far beyond, you're going to succeed. Success in product management requires a balance of those technical and soft skills, but a highlighting of your transferables, as has been a strong theme throughout. AI, data, and agile product development skills will guide the future of your career in that regard. Standing out in your career requires continuous learning, networking, and strategic skill development. The King's Product Management Career Accelerator offers that pathway to developing those skills needed to excel in this evolving landscape. And to assist people, I guess, make the most of the opportunity and commit to that themselves through the investment in their education in 2025, we do have a special offer available. It's only available until the 16th and is limited to 25 registrants. But if you apply and are successful and pay your deposit for the January 2020 or the February 2025 cohort, we'd like to offer engage in an industry mentoring series led by product industry experts, early access to alumni networking events, and that is Career Accelerator wide. So you'll be networking with data professionals, data scientists, product managers that have gone through the program over the last few years and had amazing success in their careers or even transition in their careers, and an extension of our career coaching. One of the key benefits of the program, not only behind the learning outcomes, is the executive style career coaching that you'll receive one-on-one with a highly specialized coach, enabling you to not only showcase your new skills in the best way possible, highlight your transferable skills, and use all the skills and tools and techniques that they present and provide as a very skilled career coach. I'd like to end with a poll if I can, and I'm conscious I've got 2 minutes to go, so it'll be quick before I say thank you to our panel especially. But what's your biggest concern about enrolling in a career accelerator? Is it time? Are you time poor? Is it the financial cost of a £6,000 program? Is it the uncertainty about the support systems or uncertain about the career transition success? That will enable us to personalise our supports and work out how best we can assist you either advance or transition into product management. For now, I'm going to come back to some of the questions in a moment, but I know your time is very, very valuable, and I'd like to say thank you, Flo, Yasmin, Timothy, and Alex. Thank you ever so kindly for your insights into this discussion today that's going to help so many people be much clearer on their pathway towards being product managers.
Thank you very much.
An absolute pleasure. We do appreciate your insights and would love to have another hour if we had it. I'm sure we'd cover many more valuable topics, but I think what we've crammed into this hour has been of great value for the audience. Thank you, and I'll stick around for the audience and answer some questions if I can, certainly pertaining to the program. Thank you, Flo. Thank you, Yasmin. Thank you, Timothy, and thank you, Alex. Thank you all once again. I had to be quick on a few of those points relating to the program, especially, but I'll get back to some of the questions if I can, and certainly give you a much more thorough overview of any of the program specific questions you may have as well. Someone did ask, have we seen project managers transition into product? Absolutely. The variety of backgrounds of people never ceases to amaze us and inspire us, to be honest, from teachers that have made amazingly successful transitions into product, to design, to technical based backgrounds, and certainly there've been a number of project managers that have made that transition for sure. Is it a disadvantage not having technical skills? We certainly touched on that during the session, so no, there are ways in which to highlight your other skills, such as the next question. How can I feel confident competing against people who are already in the industry with a great experience in management, degree, qualifications? You've got 10 years experience as a Java developer. I would also suggest that you may not be applying for the same roles. You may be applying for a technical product manager, given your experience. And again, touched on this earlier, but I think I can dive a little deeper into it. With a large corporate environment with, tens of product managers, it may be that a product has so many different product managers coming together on one aspect, or bringing it all together. A startup may have one person in product, so the roles are and they're responsible for everything. The roles are so varied. It is about leveraging the opportunity of learning the skills that are going to assist you shine more so than those you are competing with for your dream role first and foremost. And if that's someone with 10 years of product management experience, I don't think you're competing with that for your first product role. You're competing against people that may not have had the opportunity that you've had today of hearing from such experts, from people that may not have enrolled in a program such as this that provides such deep insight, learning, and practical application of learning, and industry connections as well. So there's, I think, many ways in which you can do that and enable success in your career transition. Do it. It sounds like you've got a great background for it as well. Some other ones here. I'd like to know the possibility and likelihood of a person with no experience, IT or digital experience, could succeed with this program to find an entry-level PM. Having experiences with technical events, project management, and mechanical engineering. You've got a great background for product. And as I touched on with the last question, we've had so many from non-technical backgrounds. You don't necessarily have to have a technical background at all. It helps to have an understanding once you're in, to understand the stakeholders that you're managing that are technically proficient more so than your own needs. But that will certainly be an advantage for you to look at other aspects of product management with the transferable skills that you'll bring. So, Anonymous, thank you for that question. Phil's got a question. One question: is it full time in this Monday to Friday for 6 months? Ask, as you're also looking at master's options, which are 2 days a week and allow me to retain a contract. It's roughly around 15 hours a week, Phil and everyone, but it's designed, as I said earlier, to fit in with you more so than you fit in with university. So let me explain. There's a blend of synchronous and asynchronous delivery. Synchronous sessions for all learners with the likes of Alex and other facilitators who will host weekly live sessions. Those sessions are always recorded if you can't attend live, but always best too, so you can ask questions relevant to your own progress within the topics of that week. And then the majority is asynchronous, meaning that you choose when and how study fits in with your life. Don't get me wrong, it's a commitment. There's a significant commitment. It's 15 hours, which we're all time poor. But if you give up a Netflix series, or if you look at where you can do 15 hours of study and engage with those around you in a decision to say, mum or dad's going to take on this new career change. To do that, I'm going to invest in my education, which is always the best investment you can make. It will require me to study on Saturday mornings, for example. I'm going to do 2 hours a night after work every day, and then I'm going to do a block on a Saturday morning. So I won't be able to drive you around or whatever. It is important to bring others along on your decision. If you've got other stakeholders and loved ones that'll be impacted on you giving up 15 hours a week, but it is completely designed for full-time employees, Phil. So almost all of our learners are working full-time, and fitting studies around their other professional and personal commitments as well. So Parvi's asked, what is the percentage of people that actually get PMs after the course is completed? Great question, Parvi. And those that we have identified their career goals. So at the commencement of the program, you go through onboarding and you set goals with the career coaches. As I said earlier, you then pick up one-on-one career coaching. And if you apply early, that career coaching will extend for 6 months beyond the program till you get your outcome. But it's during that goal setting when we ascertain people's goals. Now, some people don't have a career goal when they take on the program. Their current product manager is looking to refresh their skills or update their skills. So they're not necessarily looking for a promotion or a career transition. But 82.5, I think the slide was up earlier, of 82.5% of our learners that undertake the Career Accelerator and complete the coaching component achieve their intended outcome within 6 months, that we're so proud of. There is also a postgraduate certificate component to the Career Accelerator now. Let me frame that very quickly for the audience as well. So not only is it a 6-month Career Accelerator designed to give you the skills that will enable you to advance or make that career transition into a PM role, now there is an option to take on an additional project and dissertation applied in the workplace thereafter that will award a level 7 qualification from King's. So it's different than the Career Accelerator. It is, I guess, the best return on investment would be you do the Career Accelerator, obtain your career outcome, settle into a role, and then say, hey, boss, I've got the option of doing a postgraduate certificate in product management, which is one of the only postgraduate qualifications in this discipline in the world. But I have the opportunity of applying my project to my workplace. So if you support me in this, I will then, you will then get a productive outcome from my education. So you scope a project with an industry mentor and the facilitators from King's, the academic support. You hone in on the project, you complete the project, and then write a dissertation surrounding the learning outcomes from that project, and present then a 5-minute presentation to bring it all together. It's 4 months. It's £2,000, where you have a flexible way of paying for that over either upfront or over 2 payments over the 4-month program. It is self-paced, much more so than the Career Accelerator, but we've already seen so much success of those learners that have done the Career Accelerator and then gone on to the postgraduate certificate, having that additional string to the bow. Because someone asked before, how do you stand out? Well, it's doing that extra. As I said earlier, it may be volunteering to get some experience. It may be doing a postgraduate certificate and saying to an employer, if you give me this role, I'll be able to apply the learning of the postgraduate certificate to the workplace. So we're really proud. That's has been our long-term vision. We started the postgraduate certificate last year, and the next intake is about to start in January, and we can't wait to see how the new ones go. So Sharon, there's the cost of the PG cert. But the best thing that you can do is actually book a time with your enrolment advisor. I know Sam's already put the link in the chat function, but she'll do it again. It is most important that you speak to someone that's going to have a great deal of empathy for your decision and the process that you're going through, because it's not only a decision to invest time and money into new learning for yourself. We understand, and my team understands intimately, that a career change is a huge decision as well. One that I've been through numerous career changes, and when it's often a case of when you look back on it, you think, wow, why didn't I do that sooner? Or, wow, I'm so glad I did that and it's worked out well. I might see if there's a couple of other quick questions. I know I've taken up many more minutes of time than I thought I would. If AI tools can handle most tasks for employers, why is there still a need for project managers? We've touched on that. Mohit, thank you for your contribution. No, I didn't see that question earlier. Roberto's, I've been working in luxury retail for over 8 years, with 5 of those years as a manager. How will this course help me open new doors? I noticed that most people complete the coursework being industries different than mine. Yes, I mean, when you think about luxury retail and brands, there's not too many that wouldn't luxury brands that wouldn't have products, digital products especially, that go with their luxury brand. And I mean, even right down to, it could be a can of Coke with a QR code on the side of it now. It takes you to a digital product that integrates the user experience and the customer experience. So Roberto, I think you're unique in that regard of having that luxury brand experience to bring to the apps that luxury brands are using now to attract, retain, and delight customers at a level that the customer expects. So I think you combining the two, you'd be in high demand. We hope to assist you. As an account exec in tech industry, mainly cybersecurity, what would be the biggest gap I would have to fulfill to become a PM? I think we've touched on that quite deeply today in Anonymous. And it's a great question, but I'd probably need to understand more about your background. But I think if it's the ideation of the product lifecycle, the stakeholder management, and then obviously the things that we went through today. So if you haven't downloaded the brochure or registered to download the brochure, to get more information on how this program will take your skill set from zero to confidently applying for a PM role thereafter as well. Caroline, also regarding specific skills, since we are touching on that, how about specific regulations from an industry that you need to be across in order to develop, leverage that product manager role or product development when transitioning? That's a really good question, Caroline. And you're right, there would be many industries needing to understand laws, regulations, GDPR compliance, all those sorts of things. And certainly Timothy today was in the medical field developing apps, and we've had guests and industry projects such as that previously with Creative Navy and others, where it is highly specialized, highly regulated, and those transferable skills coming from those industries to use in PM would be ideal. Or if you don't have them, it's certainly part of the learning that you would need to undertake alongside the overarching PM skills, those specialist, unique industry skills for all different industries. That's technical, that's legal frameworks. There's so much to that as well, and mastering that would be part of a lot of PM's roles. Alex, you're going to jump
Hey,
in there as
yeah,
well?
Dan, I just wanted to jump in for a second, and I noticed there's a lot of the themes to the questions, and for the people that are still here, they're kind of wondering how does a program like this help them get into that product management space, and how do they compete with established product managers? And there's a really great case study for this in the dev space. Software engineers have been running software boot camps that are similar to the project management accelerator course that run for 6 months. They build out this foundational knowledge and put these people that never worked in tech before into the industry. And having been in the space, it's very, very clear that the folks that come with the deep background knowledge and insight that they can bring in, and they get embedded with this newfound kind of best practice principles that you get from a course, means that when they enter the market, they actually accelerate way faster than people that leave uni. So if you look at someone that did a 3-year computer science degree and then got a job as a junior developer, and you look at someone that went off and did sales and marketing and worked in the airlines and then went and became a software engineer with a 6-month boot camp, you actually find that the person that did the boot camp actually moves a lot faster. And I'm willing to bet that this is going to be the same case for the product management accelerator course, because when you get these foundational knowledge, it's fresh, it's relevant, it's crystal clear, it's not academic, it's practical, it's applied, it's not theoretical like it is at uni. You're actually going to be differentiating yourself pretty aggressively from the folks that have kind of been there for 10 years and a bit stale and old. And that's probably why we're seeing, at least in the masterclass, we had a bunch of people that were upskilling and then a bunch of people coming in. So I thought I'd just throw that out there because I was looking back through the questions, and there's still quite a few people here. So hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah, it is, and thank you. And I think even more so than boot camps, the fact that it does have the rigor that King's brings, and we bridge the gap between the academic and the industry, it is designed for exactly what you just said, and hence the name, the Career Accelerator. That's our whole purpose here at Fourth Rev. Someone has asked, Jane's asked, what type of certificate do we get? It is from King's. The Career Accelerator is a certification. You'll get a certification from King's College London, globally renowned as an expert in this field, and digital humanities is the faculty. If you choose to go on to the postgraduate certificate, you'll get a qualification, a level 7 qualification, which is the equivalent of 1/3 of a master's, or 60 credit points in a master's context, qualification from King's as well. So it starts early February 2025. We cap our numbers. We had a record intake last presentation and actually had to close applications early. We anticipate the next one being the same. The reason we do cap our numbers is for the learning experience. And obviously we've got capacity constraints with our facilitators such as Alex and our career coaches and the King's academics. But if we opened it up for 200 or 300 learners at a time, which globally, which I'm sure we could, it would mean it would mean that there would be 20 people on an industry project team rather than 5. And therefore your roles and responsibilities within that team would be diluted to the point that it would become a boot camp. And we don't want that. We want to be different, and we want your learning experience to be at the forefront. So we do cap our numbers. Therefore, the Head Start package is available for those that want to commit early, get your placement secured, your application in, speak to your enrolment advisor. They'll help you through that process and obtain the benefits of that Head Start package. Rest up for the festive season, knowing that you're enrolled in a King's program in early 2025 and fast tracking your transition into product management. I'd like to thank you all. We will have more events upcoming. We've got an AMA upcoming with a learner from the program speaking about their experience. We'll have others in January. So there's a lot of value also coming along the way, along with our AI inclusions that we've touched on and we've held sessions on. If you want to look at the first one, I'm not sure if Sam has linked that, but the first one was brilliant. And your contribution, Alex, people are still talking about. Thank you ever so kindly. But do jump on our YouTube channel because it is on there. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day and all the best in your decision-making process, of which myself and my team are here to assist you with. Thanks again, Sam, in the background, and Alex, for your contribution.